Welcome, one and all. You all can't get enough. You're back. My favorite degenerates, fienders, savages, losers. As it was pointed out to me last week, there's plenty of other adjectives that could be used. A lot of them are NSFW, but we'll just stop it there. Welcome to all you scumbags. It's good to have you all back. This is episode number 11 of Thoughts and Hunches, making money in bunches and sucker punches. Your boy Stony. You can't get enough. You love it. I come at you every Friday night. Now I'm coming at you on Wednesday because of the holiday weekend. There's all kinds of shit going on. All hell's breaking loose. There's action tomorrow. There's action Friday. There's action Saturday. There's action basically every day, all the way through. Well, now there's action every day because college basketball is underway. And for those of you that don't know me, college basketball is my shit. All right. It's hard to post these videos in enough time because a lot of the numbers are only 1 day old. You can't really find many a couple days out. So when I post the videos, 90%, excuse me, 90% of the time it's just going to be for the games tomorrow, right? So if I place a video on Friday night, then Saturday, those will probably be the picks. I have a couple of NCAA college basketball picks for you for tomorrow on Turkey Day. So that way, at least you can get your fill. And for you degenerates that can't get enough, that'll do it. Anyway, we're back. Episode number 11. Last week was a kind of a weird week. We never really caught our groove. 4-6 in NCAA basketball, football. Certainly not up to our standards, but we're still way up for the year. NFL, we actually managed a 4-4 week, which, isn't bad, considering what we had to deal with. But we'll take the 4-4. So anyway, let's move on. Okay, here we go. New picks for the new week. We're going to start on Turkey Day, and we're going to start with NCAA basketball. It all tipped off on Wednesday today. Tomorrow, there's lots of action. Most of them are tournaments, preseason tournaments, and this gives us a good chance to kind of evaluate the teams and see who's who and see who's got what, who's returning, who lost who, and I'm starting tonight. The game tonight, because UCLA is my squad. That's my team. It's always been my team. Always will be my team. They're going up against San Diego State tonight, -2.5, UCLA. Now, UCLA is known for dropping games in the preseason to UCSB or Fullerton or one of the teams down in the LA area every year. It always happens. But San Diego State is no joke now. Let's remember, this is a team that ever since Kawhi Leonard was there, they built a program, and San Diego State is no joke anymore, right? We saw it firsthand last year. So San Diego State did lose a lot to the draft. UCLA returns all 5 starters. Mick Cronin is pulling it together, and even though he lost one huge transfer off to the NBA, that's okay. He still returned all 5 starters. He's got a good recruiting class coming in. And Mick Cronin's the right guy for UCLA. I think he's going to do just fine there. This is a sneaky good team that could surprise a lot of teams and somehow find their way into the Pac-12 championship. Now, again, NCAA basketball is going to be crazy this year. COVID is going to be off the hook, the cancellations, the schedules. We just got to kind of roll with it. Well, tonight, I'm taking UCLA -2.5 against San Diego State. Boom. There's pick number 1. Pick number 2 tomorrow, Thanksgiving. We're going to roll with Xavier at home in the Cintas Center in Cincinnati. They're laying 7.5 against Bradley. The problem here is, well, there's not really a problem. Bradley won today by 2 points over Toledo. It was a game they probably should have lost as 4-point chalk, but they wound up winning it with about 4 or 5 seconds left, got the win, and now, tomorrow, they have to go up against Xavier at home, who's bringing back a couple of really good ball players. Senior guard Paul Scruggs is their leading scorer. They came back from a team that averaged 70 points a game last year, and they should probably be able to score more this year. So it's going to be entertaining to watch them. They opened up their season today at home against Oakland, and they won by 52. They went on a 36-2 run in the first half. Yes, that does happen. So we're going to take Xavier. We're going to lay the 7.5 tomorrow morning to start your turkey day while you're during NFL boring football games tomorrow. You can flip over because there's going to be college basketball going on all day long tomorrow. So Xavier minus 7.5 against Bradley. Game number 2 is the big one, right? Last season, when the COVID pandemic hit in March, the number 1 and number 2 teams in the country were Kansas and Gonzaga. That hasn't changed. They flip-flopped. Now Gonzaga comes in as the number 1. Now Gonzaga's that team every year that's loaded, and they take a lot of shit because, oh, they don't play anybody. They're in an easy conference, but every year they're there, right? Oh, but they can't win the big one. They can't win in March. They come in as number 1 team, and they are absolutely loaded, right? You get what a great coaching matchup, right? I mean, it doesn't get any better than Bill Self and Bill Self versus Mark Few, right? These are 2 of the best around. So they're not playing at home. They're not in Spokane. They're not in Kansas either. This is the Fort Myers tip-off down in Florida. Corey Kispert and Joel Ayayi both come back to lead the way for Gonzaga. Kispert's a preseason All-American. He is legit, right? He's, he could very easily be a 20 points per game scorer, but Gonzaga has so much talent that they don't need anybody to score 20 points a game. Kansas is dealing with some losses, including Azubuike, who is a big one, and now, the old saying about Kansas is they don't lose they never rebuild at Kansas, they reload. And that's true because Bill Self is, caught his hand in the cookie jar, as we have found out the last couple months. But, I don't blame him for that. I don't blame any college basketball coach or college football coach for doing whatever they have to do to win. So, allegations aside, Kansas and Gonzaga, I think, are the 2 best teams coming into the season. These 2 teams are loaded, and Gonzaga is 11 deep. They're just gonna keep rotating in fresh legs. I like Gonzaga. I'm laying 2.5 tomorrow. I would say on the road, but it's a neutral site, like I said in the tournament. So take Gonzaga, lay the 2.5. And dance. Next up, another televised game on FS1. LaSalle. We're going to take the Explorers plus 9.5 at St. John's. They're playing in Queens at Carnesecca Arena. St. John's had some losses, some key losses last year. They only bring back 2 starters, where LaSalle, David Beatty and Scotty Spencer can fill it up, the inside-outside combo, and we like LaSalle. 9.5's a big number. So we don't expect them to win, but St. John's wins but doesn't cover. So give us the Explorers plus 9.5. Finally, the last game, the 4th game we're going to take in NCAA basketball. And this, call me a homer, call me what it is. I'm 5 minutes away from Belmont University. But this is a school that is absolutely dominant and flies under the radar every year. If you haven't heard of the Ohio Valley Conference, it's a small little conference, right, with a bunch of smaller schools in it, and Belmont is one of them. Belmont joined in, I think, 2011 or 2012. Since then, they've won or tied 7 out of 8 years. 7 of the last 8 years, they've won or tied the regular season conference title, right? They're always involved in March Madness. They've really got it going on. Casey Alexander has built a program, and he's built a dynasty here in Nashville, where they're a lot bigger than Vanderbilt. Tennessee, Rick Barnes is doing his thing up in Knoxville, but Casey Alexander is doing it in Belmont. This year he has a very, very imposing twosome coming back. They're both juniors this year, right? It's Nick Musinski, right? Big boy, 6'11" center, right? Who just does everything for him inside. And then he can toss it outside to Grayson Murphy, who can break down a defense or just stick to 3 all day. So Belmont tomorrow, -8.5 against Howard. They're playing in a tournament. Again, it's a neutral site, so there's no home game. Again, home games aren't going to mean as much this year because of crowds, because of no crowds, at least for the short time going forward. So there's Belmont -8.5. Take the Bruins, and there's your 4-pack. UCLA -2.5 tonight, Gonzaga -2.5 tomorrow, LaSalle +9.5 tomorrow, and Belmont -8.5 tomorrow. Those are your 4 NCAA hoop games just to get you going. Now we move on to NCAA football. We're going to start with one of my favorite days of the year, which is Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, which always has big matchups. And you start right off the bat with Iowa State at Texas. This is a big game with Big 12 title game implications. And Iowa State right now sits at the top, and a win today and a win next week against West Virginia puts them in Dallas, or in Arlington, excuse me, for the Big 12 championship game against either Oklahoma or Oklahoma State, probably Oklahoma. But head coach Matt Campbell has done a great job at Iowa State. Texas is, they got off to the horrible start. They're starting to play better. But quarterback Brock Purdy for Iowa State is really coming into his own, and he's starting to play better. Now, they're going to have to exercise some demons because Iowa State hasn't won in Austin since 2010, and Texas is 14-3 all time against Iowa State. So there's a lot of demons there to exercise, but Iowa State's our play. We're going to take the Cyclones +1.5 at Texas. Game number 2, Notre Dame at North Carolina. Big game. ACC National Championship implications, playoff implications. Notre Dame is already in the playoff right now. And UNC is sitting there at 6-2, and they have eyes on making the ACC championship. And Mac Brown has done, I mean, let's face it, everybody loves Mac Brown. He's done a great job in Chapel Hill. He's turned that program, he's built a program at Carolina. Carolina is no longer just a basketball school. So they're doing well over there, but their streak runs out tomorrow. The Irish come in. The Irish are loaded. They're locked and loaded. They're beating up on teams. They already beat Clemson, which was the team to beat. Now, you can argue the Trevor Lawrence situation or not, but it doesn't matter. The bottom line is Brian Kelly is getting it done in South Bend. Now, this game is being played in Chapel Hill, but we're going to take Notre Dame. We're going to lay the 5 on the road at Chapel Hill. Notre Dame's defense is too good. Carolina can score, but they ain't going to score into the 40s like they've been doing. So, good luck with that one. Anyway, Irish -5. Next up, the big game, Stanford and Cal. 2 horrible teams right now. Both winless. Both had all kinds of COVID suspensions and games suspended and whatnot. So they're trying to get things back together. Cal versus Stanford. Cal is at home. They're playing this game in Berkeley. Even though both teams are 0-2, this is Cal's first home game. They haven't played a home game yet. Cal they won last year, and they stopped Stanford's 9-game winning streak. So basically, since David Shaw got there and took over from Jim Harbaugh, he's just absolutely dominated this series. But last year, Cal got the win. Stanford was having a down year, rebuilding year. They're rebuilding again this year. They're not a very good team, but we're going to take Stanford +1.5 in Berkeley on the road. Next up, the Civil War. You go, oh my God, you're speaking so politically incorrect. They canceled that. Well, they stopped calling it the Civil War. Bullshit. It's the Civil War. It was the Civil War. It will always be the Civil War. Oregon versus Oregon State. They're playing at Autzen Stadium on Friday in Eugene. These 2 schools are separated by 45 miles. Oregon is, for the most part, has dominated the series. They've they've definitely dominated the series lately. They've won 11 of the last 12. And Oregon sits at number 9 in the country right now, ranked number 9, 3-0. And they're the Pac-12's best and only hope for a team to sneak into the playoffs. Now, if that were to happen, they'd have to start winning games by 30, 40 points, passing the eye test, and blowing teams out. It's not going to happen on Friday. We like Oregon State. Oregon State's 1-2. They had one bad game. The other 2 games they played well, and 16.5 is a big number, especially in a rivalry game. We're going to take the points on the road. So that's it for the Friday games. Now we move on to Saturday, and it starts early in the morning. We're going to take Syracuse plus 14.5 at home against North Carolina State. North Carolina State's been scoring a lot of points this year. They're a sneaky good 6-3 team. They could realistically play in a New Year's Day bowl game. But Dino Babers is Dino Babers, and he always seems to, I don't know what it is about Syracuse. Very rarely do you look and see, oh, Syracuse lost by 40 points. Yeah, they do when they play Clemson and Notre Dame, but we'll take the 14.5 points. That's a big number, especially at home, so take the orange and dance. Next up, the battle of two coaches that get a lot of hype, 2 programs that get a lot of hype, and 2 programs that absolutely stink right now. Penn State versus Michigan. Where do you go? Michigan is at home. They're 2.5-point favorites. They've won 2 games this year. They're 2-3. They had to go in overtime last week to knock off Rutgers. Jim Harbaugh's job security is on the line. It's been on the line, basically, ever since the shitty start, and they keep losing, and they keep losing, and they keep losing, and everybody likes them now because they won, and they're facing a Penn State team that's 0-5. James Franklin had key losses with injuries and a couple players that opted out before the season even started, not to mention his losses to the NFL last year. So Penn State's a mess. They're 0-5. But we're going to take them. We're going to take the 2.5 at Michigan and roll the dice. Next up, Clemson versus Pitt. We're going to stay in the ACC, 3rd straight ACC game that we're taking. Clemson minus 24. They're back. They're very angry. Dabo Swinney is still bitching about last week's game and Mike Norvell and Florida State and the whole COVID-19 fiasco. This is Trevor Lawrence's first game back. And Pitt, although is having a good season, sitting at 5-4, they can definitely scare some teams and play with some teams and stay within the point spread a lot of times. But sorry, not today, not Saturday. Clemson's going to roll. This one's going to get ugly. Clemson knows now that with that loss and the playoffs, it's style points now that count, the eye test. That's what everybody wants to see. Take Clemson. Lay the 24. Next up, Colorado plus 11.5. They're playing up in Boulder against USC. USC's 3-0. They're ranked 18th. A case could be made that they should be 1-2. They did get a pretty good win last week, but that was really their only kind of sort of impressive win. The other ones have not been good. Colorado's 2-0. Colorado can play. We're going to take the 11.5 at home. We're going to take the home dog. Next up, Bama versus Auburn, the Iron Bowl. Doesn't get more classic than that. Bama minus 13.5. We're going to lay the points. They're playing in Tuscaloosa. News came out today that Nick Saban tested positive for COVID, which means Sark, have a drink, Sark. Cocktails. Is it drink time? Bar still open? Steve Sarkisian, the known alcoholic, will be running the team on Saturday. And Auburn is 5-2. Somehow, they've won 5 in a row after a really, really, really bad start. And 2 of those wins should have been losses. I mean, honestly, they should be 3-4 right now. But whatever, I give them credit. I give Auburn a lot of credit. Nix is starting to come around. They're playing better, but 13.5 ain't enough points to slow down this Alabama offense right now. Mac Jones, Najee Harris, they're just rolling up the numbers. We've made the mistake of betting against them twice this year. They cost us both times. Not again. Not this time. Even in a rivalry game. I don't give a shit. Take Bama. Watch them dance. Next up, Another rivalry game, the Egg Bowl. Mike Leach and Lane Kiffin meet in their first ever Egg Bowl. Mississippi State. This game is it's at the Grove down in Oxford. And it's going to be a lot of fun watching these two coaches. If they stick around at Mississippi State, we could watch these two coaches fight each other and duel it out for state supremacy for years to come. As both schools are going to get better, we know that. Mississippi comes in at 3-4, Mississippi State at 2-5. We're going to take MSU on the road. We're going to take the 10 points. It's a big number, but even though Kiffin is doing a good job, believe it or not, Mississippi State, you're going to give Mike Leach 10 points. We'll take it in a rivalry game. Next up, we'll go back to the SEC again, our third straight SEC game, and we're going to take Georgia minus 21.5. They're ninth in the polls now. They're 5-2. They know that the eye test is huge for them now because a lot of people don't want to see a 2-loss Georgia team in the college football playoff, because if they were to run the table, they would wind up in the college football playoff, and a lot of people just don't want to see them. But they got JT Daniels back now. He's their quarterback. He's the transfer from USC, played last week, played really well. They put up a monster number, and they're going to do it again this Saturday. They're playing in Columbia at South Carolina. South Carolina's kind of a mess, 2-6. They ain't getting any better, and they've lost a couple of really big games, huge games this year, and Saturday will be another one. Georgia wins this one by 30. Finally, the degenerate special. We've lost 3 straight degenerate specials. We need one. We need one to get back on the schneid. To get back off the schneid. Nevada minus 7. We're going to take Nevada at Hawaii. Hawaii cost us in the degenerate special last week, sneaking in the back door to cover against Boise. Hawaii's 2-3. And again, I'll keep saying it every time you go against Hawaii. The old adage is always bet Hawaii at home because of the home field advantage. Everybody goes to Oahu and they party. Nobody goes to Oahu and gets ready for a football game. Not this time. Nevada comes in. The Wolfpack come in at 5-0. They're playing really good ball. They're only a touchdown favorite. We're going to lay the 7 and watch Nevada beat up on Hawaii. So there's it. There's 12 college football games for you for the weekend, an even dozen. And now we move on to the NFL. We went 4-4 last week somehow, but we're 28-26-1 on the season, which for us, believe it or not, is not bad for the NFL. NCAA is still our bread and butter, but the NFL, hey, we'll take 500. We'll take a little bit above 550. Remember, 52.2%. That's the magic number. It's all you need. Anyway, NFL starting tomorrow, Thanksgiving Day, Detroit +3. First game of the day, right out the chute, reverse turf home underdog. If you're not familiar with this, let me explain it to you. If the team at home is an underdog and they play on a different surface than the visiting team, you always take the reverse turf home underdog. They have hit at a 64% clip over the last 30 years. Since I've been tracking them. I mean, I stopped tracking them a while ago because you bet them 10 times, you're going to win 6 times. Yeah, and that's just the way it is. Detroit's at home. They play on field turf. Houston comes in. They play on grass. Houston's laying 3. Yeah, Detroit just got shut out over the weekend. Doesn't matter. Take Detroit. They're the reverse turf home dog. The first one, +3. There's 3 of them this week, so we're going to take them all. Anyway, start with Detroit on Thanksgiving Day. Next up, Washington. Yeah, we still call them the Redskins because we're politically incorrect. We're going to take the Redskins +3 at Dallas on the road. Both these teams suck, let's face it. They're both 3-7. They both have a chance to win the NFC least somehow. But we're taking this one solely based on the defense. Washington's defense is legit. They can't move the ball, and Alex Smith is a great story, and it's a shitty team, but the defense is legit. The defense is going to slow down Dallas, keep the game close, Washington +3. There's your 2 plays for Thanksgiving Day. Now we move on to Sunday. Start off with reverse turf home dog number 2, and that's Atlanta +3. Sorry, Raider fan. I know, pissed you all off last week. Doesn't matter. We're going to take Atlanta again, or we're going to take the reverse turf home dog because they play on turf. The Raiders play on grass. They're playing down in Georgia at Atlanta. Atlanta's +3. They're a dog. 3-7. The Raiders coming off a brutal loss. Raiders looked good. Raiders have nothing to hang their head on. They just gave the ball back to Patrick Mahomes with too much time on the clock. But now they're coming back, short week. The Raiders are a good team. Raiders are a very good team, and they need this one. And they could still win by a point or two, but we've seen stranger things. We're going to take Atlanta +3, reverse turf home dog. Next up, Minnesota -4.5 versus Carolina. We're all over the Vikings in this one. Teddy Two Gloves, your boy down in Carolina. Bridgewater, he's coming in with a banged up knee. Christian McCaffrey's not playing. Minnesota just had a really crushing loss on Sunday to Dallas, dropping them to 4-6. So they're basically out of the playoffs now. I mean, unless they run the table, and that ain't going to happen. But we expect them to win big at home, -4.5. We'll lay the 4.5. Next up, Miami -7. We'll take Miami on the road in New York. It's the Jets, period. Miami lost last week, didn't look good. Benched their quarterback, benched Tua. But they're playing the Jets. Take Miami, -7. Next up, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. This is the game that was supposed to be played on Thanksgiving, but COVID and all that stuff, who knows if that game's even going to be played. Right now it's scheduled for Sunday. We're going to take Pitt, -4. They're still undefeated. They're still the best team. They're still rolling. Baltimore's season hangs in the balance. Baltimore is done. They are shit right now. The most overrated player in the NFL, last year's MVP, Lamar, not playing well. Absolutely not playing well. Their heads are all over the place. They've got COVID problems, and Pittsburgh just quietly keeps winning. It's Mike Tomlin. It's what he does. Pitt wins, lay the 4 at home against Baltimore. Final 2 games, we're going to take Denver +6 against New Orleans. Denver, reverse turf home dog, number 3, +6. Against New Orleans. Denver's 4-6 somehow. Not a very good team. Can't score a lot. They don't really have that wow factor that makes you want to tune in. New Orleans surprised everybody by beating Atlanta last week, and Taysom Hill looked good, so everyone's going to take them this week, the 8-2 Saints, and they're going to get stung. They could win the game. They probably will win the game, but we'll take the 6 points as Denver plays on grass. The Saints do not play on grass. So we'll take the Broncos +6 in reverse turf home dog number 3. Final game of the week, Chicago versus Green Bay Sunday night. We're going to take the Bears. Again, we told you, we've been telling you over and over and over, we're not sold on the Pack. The Pack is 7-3. Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. Oh my God, he's the greatest. No, he's not. He's not. He's like the 5th, 6th best quarterback in the NFL right now. He's going to run into a defense on Sunday night that is legit. Now, Green Bay's going to have to score, and they will, but they won't score that much. Green Bay wins, but not by 8.5. We'll take the 8.5 all day long. So there's your 8-pack of NFL plays. That's 8 NFL plays, 12 NCAA football plays, and 4 NCAA hoop plays. That's 24 plays I just gave you, right? If you can't win 15, 16, 14, 15 games out of that, that turns into a pretty good weekend. So that's what we're going to roll with. Finally, our shout-outs. It's been a couple of weeks since we've done the shout-outs, but I've got 3 this week. I'm going to start out with the famous greaseball down here in Nashville because I don't use anybody's names, right? We'll just call him AP. AP is the Italian mush. If he's the Italian mush, then you might as well call him a meatball because this guy, every single time he gets in touch with me and says, I'm all over this game. I'm all over this game. Whenever he tells me that he's climbed on board one of my picks, it loses every single time. Love you, AP. Next up, any retired correctional officers that used to work for the U.S. government, there's a couple of you that are absolute fiending, degenerate psychopaths, right? And I'm not going to mention names, whether you're in Mississippi, Louisiana, or West Sacramento, you know exactly who you are. You fienders, you degenerates, you guys just can't get enough. And I'm a better handicapper than both you clowns combined. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it because this shit right here is documented. Finally, this one might take a minute or two, and I'm sorry for this one, but because I don't use anybody's names, let's call him. He's from Oakland, and let's call him AG the lawyer. Everybody knows this clown. And here's a guy, lifelong Raider fan. I've known this guy my entire life. Lifelong Raider fan, one of the best Raider fans you'll ever meet, right? True to his team, loves his Raiders. They left for Oakland they left for LA when he was a kid. Didn't matter. He was still a Raider fan. They came back to Oakland for 25 years. He had season tickets. He went to all the games, and he was there rooting and Raiders. Now they're in Las Vegas. And in January, he sent me a picture of himself with a Patrick Mahomes jersey on because his hatred for the 49ers is more than the Chiefs. I don't get it. I'll never understand that. Never. Never in my life. I'm a 49er fan. You know who I hate? I hate the Rams. I hate the Cardinals. I hate the Seahawks. I hate the teams in my division. Those are the teams that I hate. I don't hate anybody else. I don't care about anybody else. Nobody else matters. Every single time one of the teams from the 49ers division goes to the Super Bowl, Rams a couple years ago, Seahawks made it a couple times, I go against them. Absolutely not, cannot, under any circumstances, root for them. I was happy when New England beat the Rams a couple years ago. Loved it. Everybody was pissed. Oh, Brady won again. Oh, my God, I'm so tired of seeing. I loved it. Beat L.A. But yet AG jumped on board and started going crazy, saying, now, the lawyer AG claims that he has not watched a football game this year and could not tell you who the Raiders wide receivers are. Yet as soon as I post this video last week and gave my lock of the week as the Chiefs, oh my God, he came unglued. And he started a text message thread where I had 67 missed text messages. He started it by crying about how can you take the Chiefs? You grew up in Oakland. You lived in Las Vegas. How can you do? It's not here. It's here, man. Yeah, I know I lost the bet, right? But I still took the over, so I wound up, that was easy, right? Because the Raiders defense is Swiss fucking cheese. Deal with it, Raider fan, all right? Anyway, that's it. I just wanted to throw out a couple shout-outs, a couple sucker punches, right? Because I love you all. AP the Italian mush, AG the lawyer from Oakland, and any retired correctional worker who thinks that they know better than me. Man, you're all clowns, but love you all. Anyway, that's it for me. We're going to close up shop. We wish you all good luck. We wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy what's left of 2020. Enjoy the time with the family, unless you live in California, because you can't. The Honorable Governor Gavin Newsom won't allow you to. So anyway, enjoy the holiday. Just enjoy the weekend. And if you got a fiend. If you want to make money, you got to bet big. So make sure you fire away this weekend. And finally, good luck to you.